All right. Welcome, everybody. Nithyananda, I hope you are all doing good. Saturday morning here, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I figure I'm going to start this off as I lose my headset. I'm going to start this off with a little music. So if you're watching the recording of this, you can skip ahead to about the 5 minute mark or so. But I'm going to start this off with some music today. I love this song. As people tune in, we can all jam out together. This is by Satsang. Song's I Am. Ziman, Nithyananda. Suresh, how you doing, brother? Yuri, Nithyananda. Cause I know what I am here for. I keep on trotting on my own path. Keep on learning from my present and past, yeah. I no longer need validation. Cause my story is long and I'm patient. I know that I have lessons to learn. Keep my eyes open each step I turn, yeah. No need for me to feel alone. Cause I got a place that I call home. Every single road travel, every single new place. I come back home and accept me with grace. Yeah. When I know that I was meant to be here, and I know that I was born into fear, but I will stand tall in the lion's den. Cause I know with my heart I am one of them. That there lies in the facets of everything that we see. They're telling us to be scared when all we ever are is free. I'm letting go of the things that don't serve me no more. Cause I am holy and sacred and righteous and true, and I deserve to be here. So do you. Said I deserve to be here. But I'm in that constant transition, constantly changing vision. Story never certain, there is always a revision to be made. When I think about the demons I have slayed, I am not afraid of confrontation in vain. The people that see evil not as peaceful as I look. When a warrior at heart, so precaution must be took. When I'm trying to give in to the lessons that will soften my ways and means are changing, cause I talk to spirit often. Tell me to stay sharp, tell me to stay present, tell me to ignore the fools and focus on the sin. Well, I said I will start my ego and I will remain strong. I will make mistakes and I will often be wrong. But I'm perfectly imperfect and I'm only here to learn, and all the evil on the path gets burned. I said I'm perfectly imperfect and I'm only here to learn, and all the evil on the path gets burned. And there lies in the facets of everything that we see. They're telling us to be scared when all we ever are is free. I'm letting go of the things that don't serve me no more. Cause I am holy and sacred and righteous and true, and I deserve to be here. And so do you. The pressure always comes from the outside. To let it in where I reside. Well, this is my heart, my home, my choice, my love, my life, my path, my voice. Yeah. I feel my heart grow with each step. Stand firm in where the path goes next. When I know that where it goes is where I need to be. The more lessons rain down, more blessings I see. Hey. So there are lies in the facets of everything that we see. Telling us to be scared when all we ever are is free. I'm letting go of the things that don't serve me no more. Cause I am holy and sacred and righteous and true, and I deserve to be here, and so do you. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I tried not to sing on that one so you guys didn't have to listen to my voice. That was Satsang. I absolutely love them. I actually don't like all of their music. I should say I don't like each one of their songs. I'm very particular with lyrics these days. But that being said, I am a bit of a hypocrite when it comes to that. If you didn't notice at all, I think it was a couple days ago. Priscilla caught me. She chose the music. It was Backstreet Boys. Backstreet's Back All Right, which I grew up to. And so it naturally clicked back into me. And I knew every word to the song. And so I love that. Nityanandam, everybody. Srinivas was waiting for me to sing. I was doing you a favor, Srinivas. TC Films, how you doing? Varesh, Tiana. Yes, the song was Satsang. The band's name is Satsang, and the song name is I Am. Momo, Nityanandam. All right, guys. So I'll start off with my Sadhguru Vandanam, and I got some good questions today. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask those. And I've got four that I'm going to answer first from that have come through throughout the week. And I had a really touching question that came through last night. I'm excited to share that with you too. So if you're here, thank you so much. I'll try and rifle through these four questions first, and then get to the ones that are coming up here, and we'll enjoy. So hope you guys are enjoying your Saturday morning so far. And with that, let's get started. Nityanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadiraksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunorahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Awesome. Sugarfoot, hey, how are you? Love the handle name. So I got four questions here that I'll jump right into, and then again I'll take all the questions that come in the comment section with everybody that's here right now. So the first one was from Gabrielle, and that's the title of this video. They were asking, what was my Kundalini awakening experience like? Did I have visions, sounds, see other life forms? I would be grateful if you shared. So, for those of you that don't know, I've shared it quite a few times. Um, I didn't do anything special to get my Kundalini awakened. Yes, it is awakened now. Um, all that I did was really, when I had my spiritual awakening, I was still playing professional ice hockey, and I was really just trying to incorporate everything that I was learning. You know, ahimsa, oneness. So that meant like I cut out eating. I decided to completely stop drinking, and I started meditating, started practicing yoga, or what I knew of yoga. And I really had this intense, deep desire, though, to obviously have my third eye opened and Kundalini awakened as soon as I heard about it. And so I eventually came across Swamiji, my guru, on YouTube, and he gave me this crazy experience of super consciousness just through YouTube. It was like he was in my inner space. It was like he was right here, and I was also outside of this body. And it was just this real cool meditation that happened via a YouTube video. And so I ended up jumping at the next opportunity to go to his program, and it was called Inner Awakening. And during the program, it was promoted as a Kundalini Awakening program, and I want to say it was like halfway through the program, and Swamiji, we were doing a guided meditation. It was called the Nitya Dhyan meditation, the life bliss meditation. And during it, it's a very dynamic meditation. So there's some intense breathing that's happening, intense humming. And then right at the end, Swamiji was just kind of finishing off the meditation, and he said, Om Namah Shivaya. And at the time, I had really tight hips. So because I was, you'll find that with a lot of hockey players that have very tight hips. So I couldn't sit on the floor for longer than 5 minutes. So I was going to a chair and sitting back down on the ground to a chair. And at this time during this meditation, because it was so long, I'm like, I need to sit in a chair. So all I was doing was sitting in a chair, head, neck, and spine was in a straight line. And he said, Om Namah Shivaya. And all of a sudden, I just felt like this little, like, it was almost like just a spark. The spark shot up. And it wasn't like, it didn't like shoot up like all the way up my spine and, break through the Sahasrara chakra or anything like that. But it was this little spark that was very sharp and prominent. Like I knew exactly it was my Kundalini just got awakened, but it stayed about, it didn't go any higher than my belly button actually at that time. And I didn't have any incredible visions or anything. And I didn't have any euphoric experience. It was more like, just cracking your knuckles. Also, like you just know, okay, I just cracked my knuckles. Like it was a little bit similar, but it was more like something pierced through, like this layer. And like all I can say is I knew it was Kundalini, and I knew it was just being awoke, and I didn't do anything. I was just literally sitting there, and I went to his program. I was a vegetarian for about 5 months or so at that time. And again, like I had a very limited spiritual practice. I was meditating and I was doing a little bit of yoga here and there that I knew. But really, I just had this intense desire, this intense seeking within me. And so what happened was quite anticlimactic for everybody that, excuse me, for everybody that doesn't have their Kundalini awakened, like, and you see some, YouTubers talk about their experiences or what they think it would be like. And it's, from my experience, it wasn't anything like that. Now, with that being said, ever since after the program, I traveled throughout India, and I ended up coming back to Swamiji's ashram, and I had this meditation on the banyan tree, and that's where he gave me an incredible experience of enlightenment. And and if you don't know that story, there's a lot of, I talk about it a lot, but just even talking about that now, I feel the Kundalini rising, and it goes. I can shoot it like I'm playing with it right now, and I can shoot it up my whole body. And if you see me kind of jerk, it's because my spine just has to straighten out, and it's like this intense energy. And but if I can hold it and keep my focus and concentration there, I can hold it for longer and longer periods of time, and it's quite blissful. It's quite an enjoyable process. And so I can say the initiation itself for me wasn't like massively euphoric, but it was very real. Something pierced through something, and then so the what happened for me was the more I was developing, or the more my feeling connection with Swamiji started to grow and expand. And this happened really after he gave me this incredible experience under his banyan tree. Everything just started to take off as far as like being able to play with my Kundalini, and like I can just, shoot it up and down my spine. I can enjoy and just sit and rest in bliss because my Kundalini was awakened. And I want to make it very clear that Kundalini is like, Swamiji did it just like that, snap of a finger. And there's so many scriptures that talk about that, and how, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika Swatmarama, for instance, talks about the guru can whack the Kundalini like you're whacking a snake with a stick, and I'll just stand up. And that's exactly what my experience was. So thank you, Gabrielle, for asking that question. And hopefully you found that what you were looking for. Dylan had another question. How do I picture sports now that I live a yogic lifestyle? So he's talking specifically for sports, for union or well-being, but how about as a whole? And he says, I'm an ex-hockey player as well who has transitioned to a spiritual-based life. Can hockey fit in still? And where can sports sit in a spectrum that is still nourishing for the soul? So this is a great question because ultimately I decided to leave hockey because the depth of my spiritual journey got to a point where I didn't I just couldn't consciously choose to put myself in that environment. Um, oneness is such a key concept in Hinduism. Advaita, um, ahimsa, not harming others, not having the intention of harming others. And so when I was playing, I was still playing pro, and I was like, I was playing with the intention that I don't want to harm others. But if you know anything about hockey, it's an extremely aggressive sport. Fighting is very much a part of it. It's like the epitome of masculine energy. I mean, between that and football and rugby, I would say, but masculine energy is heavy in it, and so the more that I was expanding and growing spiritually and wanting to experience union with God, with the divine, with Paramashiva, I just started to fade away naturally. But it was an acceptance for me because I knew it wasn't who I was anymore. And a part of me still loves hockey. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that I don't watch highlights here and there. Even when we were in India, every now and then I would try and catch a 5 minute video of highlights. And that's just the old patterns within me, because like, what is it? It's just a big drama. It's a big, like, it's the whole, you could say this about the whole world, that, why even bother, like, getting so caught up in the Maya. But for me, it's just something that I enjoy. Hockey and sports in general demands an incredible amount of not just physical strength, mental strength, and spiritual strength in a lot of ways. And I wouldn't be the yogi that I am today if it weren't for my training as an athlete. And I think sports has a really powerful impact on people. And and I think it does have its place with spirituality for sure. But the whole idea of competition and working against one another, and especially in an aggressive way, that's a direct um, conflict with who you are. So if sports are able to, or not sports, but if any, I should say, if any sport, if an athlete approaches it with the context of, I am a spiritual being and I am playing and having this divine experience, and like not getting caught in the result in any way, like completely not caring about the result. And again, this was difficult as a professional, like you're being paid to win. And if you don't win, like you got people screaming at you, naturally, and of course, as they should. But so you have to really be sturdy in your context for life, and so it's just very challenging. And so as I said, that's why I left the game. It was just no longer suitable for who I was as a being. That being said, I do see sport changing and evolving as humanity as a whole grows in consciousness, and we expand and we start to see that, hey, we are all one, we're all the same being. Why not use sport in a way to somehow uplift one another and continuously bring one another to higher and more powerful cognitions. And again, like, this is something that is done in a lot of ways. Like I was, I feel blessed because I learned communication skills. I learned about responsibility. I learned about integrity. And these are key components that my guru not now teaches, but my guru teaches, that I was already trained in a lot of ways. Being walking into a dressing room and spending time and your whole day really with 20 plus guys, and your whole goal is to move together as a unit to achieve something greater than any one of you. And when one teammate gets down, like you always got to be enriching, you always got to be uplifting. And so they do this union between spirituality and sports can exist, but the very context of sport needs to change in the mainstream first. Like you'll never see this in the NHL or NFL or NBA for a long time, and that's because the current state of our global society. But I can see new sports coming up and new incredible opportunities flourishing from that for spiritual growth. I was just thinking about the XFL. If you don't know what the XFL is, it's the WWF or the WWE, their spin on football. And I had this visualization. I don't know why it came up, but I had this visualization where I was like, they're going to be exploring different things and really developing a whole new sport. Like I could just picture if for some reason it kind of takes off, they could do things like they could have like the trampolines like at the 50-yard line or something, and you could like jump and like if you run and get to the trampoline, you could jump and like all of a sudden you would just launch a certain distance. Like they could really explore and make this sport something unique and evolutionary. And like I said, with spirituality, it is the future. Consciousness is the future. I could see sport and spirituality really coming together and creating some pretty cool things. So I hope that helps you, Dylan, with that question. Um, I see sport does nourish the soul. It nourishes my soul for sure. Um, it's just really trying to find something that you got to find first. I think a spiritual community, a sangha that everybody has the same context. That this isn't about winning or losing. This is about exploring the possibilities of the body, um, expanding our beings in some way. And so that's something I mean, I could really do a presentation on. Maybe that'd be something interesting to do and go a little deeper into that. But I hope that helps for now. This was a really touching story as well. Not story, but Tajveer from Vancouver. I think I saw that you're in the live chat. I got a message last night on Instagram, and I'll tell you from my experience. I get a lot of messages, and sometimes, more often than not, they're from an account where it's like you don't see the person's picture, they have no followers, and you get the inbox saying somebody wants to send you a message, and uh, just with the state of what's happening with all of the accusations of my guru and everything, and just the abuse I take online, I get a message. I'm like, oh God, like what is this? What is this message going to be? But my context for life is to always enrich. And if there's somebody sending me a message and reaching out to me and feels that I can help them in some way, then I will always do that. And I got this message last night around midnight from Tajveer, and he's 15 years old, and he said he's about 4 months in to his spiritual awakening, and he slowly started to research and visit Hindu temples and got really into everything that he was learning. And but he was saying his parents don't really support this. His mom does a little bit, but his dad just gets really angry and wants him to let go of this bullshit and become a normal teenager. So he's asking for any tips. And that was really touching to see. I mean, can you imagine? And I'm not just speaking to Tajveer here, but 15 years old, and you're this woke. You're seeking already. I had to go through so much crap in my life. I did the party scene. I seeked validation from everybody around me, and I I I I was so caught in ego, and I just did so many. I had so many poor decisions, and it took me until 27 or so to have my awakening. And here is this 15-year-old, and he sent me a picture. He has a little altar with Shiva and a bunch of other deities that he's put in his room, and I just think that is so awesome. And I think he is so blessed. And I feel for you, Tajveer. I know what it's like to go through an awakening, and the people that you love the most, not only do they not understand you, but they're completely against you in a lot of ways. And as your father, like, you're supposed to be like listening to his guidance in a lot of ways. But I can't tell you enough that screw whatever your father says. It does not matter. Who you are is who you are. And I can't help but relate this to people that come out of the closet as lesbians or homosexuals, and they feel like they can't be their true selves, not only because their families don't understand, but the society doesn't understand, and it's such a shame. And I don't mean to like correlate this in any way. I want people take a lot of things out of context these days, but I really just want to say that you being a Hindu and enjoying the seeking of Hinduism, you should never let anything else around you affect that. Okay? Nothing around you should affect that. Now, I know this is real simple, and there's no real tips in that, but the tip is to be true to yourself. Be true to you. Okay? Your father is not going to understand unless he starts to seek it out for himself. And he's not going to seek it out for himself ever until he sees incredible changes in you. And that would only happen when you're implementing the things that you're discovering in your journey. So if you're discovering that meditation is helpful and you've done it and you felt a little bit of benefit, but you haven't done it consistently, practice it consistently. If you feel you want to practice yoga and you want to do everything, like, just do it. Practice it. Implement it. Implement all the teachings. If you've come across my guru, implement authenticity, integrity, responsibility, enriching in your life. When I did that, I became a captain for the first time in my hockey career because I decided I'm taking responsibility for this entire team. Everything that happens in the dressing room, it's my responsibility. But I didn't let everything bind me and pull me down as well. Your father's reaction to you is your responsibility, but it doesn't mean that you have to be attached to what he's saying, and you don't have to get caught up and be so worried about what he's saying to you either. He's not going to understand. That's okay. But you need to continue to just seek your path. And you just need to do, it's like that, just do you. And it's very difficult because I know you're 15 and you're in an environment where nobody's going to understand you, especially going to school. Oh my goodness. I could not imagine going to high school with a bindi on, with dreadlocks, with rudraksha. I would have never done that. I never would have done that. But I tell you one thing, that would have been so empowering if I did. But again, my awakening wasn't at that time. But I can't tell you enough. If you, Tajveer, if you embrace the path that you're on, you are only going to be showered. You are only going to be blessed more and more. And I don't know what that path is. It sounded like you were a Shaivite. Continue going down the path, seeking and implementing what you can. And again, I know you're 15, so I know you can't control your environment at home, and I know you can't control your environment at school, but maybe you can start seeking, maybe getting homeschooled if that's something you would want to do, or maybe going to Gurukul. There's a Gurukul in Vancouver I know you could seek out. And I know that you said that your mom is supporting you as well. And so, or not maybe fully supporting, but I think you said my mom does a little bit whenever I mention Hindu. Obviously, she gets a little upset, but mothers they're the best. Nothing beats mother. Really connect with your mother. Let her understand you. Let her understand your pain. And do the same with your father as well. But it sounds like he's very emotionally blocked with what you're experiencing. But if you just start to share and open up a little bit more about what you're going through and what you're feeling, I mean, let's say for instance you started crying and you said like I'm really feeling passionate about this. What what being on the planet could look at you in such an emotional state where you're just showing how much you're loving the path that you're on and still yell at you and still be angry with you? I'm telling you, whether they understand it or not, they love you no matter what you do. And you will always have a supportive community around you, but you need to seek it. And you did seek it with me. You reached out to me, and I'll always be available to you to help you out in any way that I can. But I would really implement one thing, and that is forgetting what anybody else around you says. You are Paramashiva. That's the truth. You are the divine. Whether the beings outside of you understand that they're the divine or understand what you're saying or not is irrelevant. I get a ton of hate. I get a ton of abusive comments. It's irrelevant. Okay. Um, but as I said last night, message me. I'm always available to you. This is really a blanket statement for anybody that's going through this type of difficult transition. The real helpful key, though, is surrounding yourself with beings that understand you, with Sangha. And so I would ask your mom if, because I know you can't drive yet, I would ask your mom if you can go to the local Gurukul in Vancouver. They do weekend sessions, I know, and you can um, practice third eye powers. You can learn more about Hinduism. You can learn more about Sanskrit. There's a lot you can do. So I just really can't emphasize enough. Continue your seeking, and I know it's not easy. It's not an easy answer, especially at your age, but it is the answer. Okay. And again, I'm always available to you, so please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Okay. Okay. So the last question I had before the live questions was, how is my liquid diet going? I've gotten this a few times. Um, I'm on day 131, day 131 of my liquid diet, and it's been going awesome. I've I've been wanting to do a video, but I know I need to do it at like a good one. I'm not like a really incredible editor, and it's very time consuming. And so I know the importance of making it a good video as well. I don't want to miss anything, but I will come out with a video that gives full detail on my liquid diet journey. One thing or three things I could probably say. The first is that I do feel less stressed out. And I think a lot of this has to do with, if you don't know what the vagus nervous system, for instance, the vagus nerve it's the largest nerve in the body, and it connects to each organ, and it connects to the gut. I've I've never felt less stress or so little stress because I feel like this vagus nerve is completely relaxed. It's tough to describe. Somebody once said that the vagus nerve is like the piano key inside the body. All I need to do is just breathe, relax, and I do feel like so much less stress, more so than when I was eating. And I don't know why that is, but I really feel like it has something to do with the vagus nerve. My breathing is so much more, it's just different now, and it's hard to explain. It's really something that you just need to experience, I think. But just a big reduction in stress is the number one thing I've noticed. I've also noticed that I'm happier. um, Again, microbiome is, modern science is starting to understand the importance of gut health and gut bacteria. I think we have like 100 trillion or 100, it's either 100 million or 100 trillion. I think it's 100 million bacteria in our gut. And when I'm eating, I'm only not eating. When I'm consuming and drinking things right now, it is only organic. It is all perfect, pure. I don't have to spend so much time digesting the food. It just feels like my system is just working at such a high performance rate. And I know that, when you consume meat and when you consume crap foods or inorganic foods, it causes this massive toxicity in your gut. And they call the microbiome, your gut, the second brain, because it actually is connected with the brain. Your emotions, I think 95% of your serotonin, the feel good neurotransmitter, is actually produced in your gut. And I feel that. I feel happier when I've been on this liquid diet. And um, so that's been a nice addition to it. I wasn't expecting that, to say the least. I will say that my energy is less. I've I don't think I've ever been in such a low energetic state, but that is because I'm not doing like any cardio exercise at all. And I have started to go to the gym. I go to the gym about 3 to 4 times a week, but I'm doing strength resistance training, so I'm lifting weights, and that's of course with my morning yoga routine. Excuse me. And so it's been an interesting journey to because I lost a bunch of weight. I lost like 6, 7 pounds or so, but then I did gain it back, and I'm at about 184, 185 pounds. And I started to gain it back when I decided to start incorporating strength resistance training. Because when I first started the liquid fast, I wasn't working out for months before, and then it took me about maybe a month or two, not 2 months, but maybe 30, 40 days, 45 days until I started to go into the gym. And then around that point, I really started to take off, and my strength started coming back, and some size started to come back as well. So um, the journey's been fun. It's been really good, and I've enjoyed it, to say the least. So uh, for everybody that was asking that question, I didn't give one specific name. There was a bunch of people asking me about that. I hope that helps. And again, I'll come out with a video soon. Okay, so with that, I will look at some of the comments. I apologize if I do not get to all of them. All right, where are we? A lot of just random comments too. I appreciate all the activity though. So Nikki, okay, I'll just bring up this comment maybe first. Same here. In the dream state, he put his thumb on my third eye. My whole body jumped from the power of the electric shock. I tell you no lie, my guru is the real deal. The family. So Nikki's talking about her Kundalini awakening experience. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I want to bring up this question. Is marijuana bad for enlightenment? So I had a buddy that um, I just did a collab with, and I haven't posted a video yet. I played professional ice hockey with him, and he ended up having his own awakening as well. I think maybe 2 years ago, and he got really into ayahuasca, and I think he microdoses with ayahuasca now. And I'm very grateful that I never tried ayahuasca myself. I was very close to trying it. I was really like I wanted to have a spiritual experience. I wanted to experience, expanded states of consciousness and the next dimension and everything. And but fortunately Swamiji came and gave me that super conscious experience first. And um, so what I'm getting at really is I see ayahuasca as defibrillators. they bring you back to life, right? Ayahuasca is the same thing. It brings your spirituality back to life. You get so low on your path, and let's say you get caught up in the world of drugs or something, you're just the furthest way from being a spiritual being. And somebody introduces you to ayahuasca, and you take it, all of a sudden, you're back on the spiritual path. You get a sight of this next dimension, and you know it exists, and so now it inspires you to be living a spiritual and authentic lifestyle. In that scenario, I believe ayahuasca has its place. Now, if you already know about consciousness and the power of meditation, and just you're on the spiritual path in general, I don't think ayahuasca has its place at all. It fries the nervous system. It has a tremendous negative effect not my experience, but in my understanding. And I think marijuana is the same thing. If you, for instance, like when somebody gets really high, and they get so high that they start a sentence and they can't remember the rest of the sentence, or they only have this one train of thought. This is just one example. Um, but they just have this similar trains of thought, and they think the same things over and over. You're building and you're creating brain grooves, and these grooves are, you're increasing the neural connections, the synapse connections within your brain. So you're thinking the same way continuously. And so you're training yourself to be a certain way. And when you continuously do it over and over and over again, you're just really dumbing your system down. You're not increasing their creativity of your being. And I mean, I'm saying this from seeing people. I'm saying, I mean, I did smoke marijuana when I first had my awakening, because it did make me more in tune with my body. I did feel like the energy and the vibration and my frequency. Like I wanted to feel the frequency of gratitude, and I did. It helped me tune into that way. But just because it helped me do that doesn't mean that it's right. I see it very similarly to ayahuasca, where it's frying your nervous system. So I'm not a proponent of marijuana in any way. I'm not a proponent of ayahuasca or anything external. Um, and if you are, I highly recommend stopping, and I highly recommend detoxifying your body. And there's a lot of different ways you could do that. You could rub turmeric on your forehead every evening, have kumkum on your third eye. You can rub harataki all over your body, or turmeric as well. But I really would recommend detoxifying your body. Um, Even if you feel like you've gained the benefits from it, I understand what you're talking about, but it is a crutch for you, and it's not necessary. And for me, I see it as equivalent to somebody taking steroids to improve their strength. It's you can't do that you're not going to smoke weed for the rest of your life and get enlightened. Yes, there are babas, there are yogis in India that smoke marijuana, but it's a different context. They do that to keep themselves in the body, not to get them outside of the body. Their consciousness is expanded to a certain point where they use it to stay within the body. And so I don't recommend it for anybody that's on the spiritual path and is new to their seeking. Baresh, Stridananda, you awesome, and you inspire an Indian out of India to appreciate our culture and Vedic tradition. I'm the one that's feeling blessed, and uh, it would not have happened without my guru. I don't care what anybody says about Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. He is the most authentic Hindu on the planet, and he is enriching the whole world, including many Westerners such as myself, to the amazing lifestyle of Sanatana Hindu Dharma. So I feel extremely blessed. I've never tried my hand at cricket. Go cool. Um, I actually wanted to go to one game that those uh, the Indian, is it ICL? I don't know, but the cricket league in India. It looks like a really fun thing, but It's just sport these days. It doesn't have any purpose in my life. There's so many things that are I find are much more important. And so to go to a sports game, there really needs to be it would have to be about networking or meeting with somebody, and we happen to be at a sports game first. Kali's asking, what is completion and how does it fit into Sanatana Hindu Dharma? I'm new to the path and trying to sort through everything, including the night and day different stories about your guru. So there's everything my guru does first and foremost is based off of scripture, or something that his own masters have taught him, and those masters are probably aligned to the scriptures as well. And one of the processes that my guru has enriched us with is called the Samskara Dahana Kriya. Samskara Dahana Kriya. And it's known as the completion process. And completion, or the completion process, is all about removing all of the pain patterns within you, ultimately. So, for instance, let's say you wake up one morning, you're 5 years old, and your mom runs in and grabs you and says, "The house is burning down. Like, we got to get out. Like, like, run fast." And it's an extremely traumatic event that happened. Odds are it's something that you never forget, right? A lot of fear gets developed, and like your system is just overwhelmed, and that gets imprinted into your body. All that fear, all that pain, like watching your house burn down, all of those things could be extremely traumatic, especially at that age. And so those patterns, a pattern like that or an event like that, is stored within you, and the cognition that you have from the experience. Let's say, for instance, you found out that the house got burnt down because your dad got so drunk and he knocked the candle over and the whole house burned down. And you're standing outside watching this whole house burn down, and your mom says, "Your father," like, just goes off on him, and you're like, "Dad did this? Ah, I hate dad." In that moment, that cognition, along with all of those patterns of fear, anxiety, etc., is stored in your body. It gets stored in your muscle memory, in your bio memory. And so, unless you go back to that event and pull it out and relive it, then it will always continuously operate. So, and this would start showing up in different ways in your life. Like, every time you think of your dad, there will be this deep subconscious thought pattern that is like, "Oh, I don't like my dad. I hate him because of, one, he burned down the house." But then you'll see that that pattern is just continuously reflected throughout the years afterwards. And so you need to go back and complete the pattern, the event that's happened within you, in order to relieve yourself of that pain. And this is just one example, obviously, but like this, we have so many patterns, whether it was like a bad breakup, whether it was, cheating in high school, it could be anything. But we have certain perceptions about others, about ourselves, and these cognitions are our operating system. The way your mind functions is based off of these events that have happened in your life. And so completion process, or samskara dahana kriya, is a process given by Shiva for you to remove yourself of all of these pain patterns. I don't have the actual scripture, or I don't have the scriptural reference with me for that, but I can seek that out and give you that as well. But it is a definite science. It worked for me during my inner awakening with my guru. I relieved myself of so much crap, and I felt like a completely different being when I did it properly. So I would highly, highly recommend learning about completion by practicing it and doing it and going through the process yourself. And again, if you just type in Samskara Dahana Kriya into YouTube, I'll post that here. Samskar Dahana Kriya. If you post that into YouTube, there's a lot of different videos on there where you can learn about it. You can also type in completion process Nityananda. Then you'll find out there exactly how, what to do and how to follow it step by step. And a lot of people say, oh my gosh, Nityananda charges thousands and thousands of dollars for these programs. Again, Inner Awakening, I did some Dahana Kriya. The whole course. You can take all of Inner Awakening. It's online on YouTube for free. But we all kind of know that just because something's given for free doesn't mean you're going to do it. And the other thing is, to be in a master's presence is really that's what you're paying for. It's not. You can take all of his lessons. You can do everything for free online. Go through his YouTube. It's all there, including some Dahana Kriya. I really urge you to do everything, though, that is said, but the odds are you might not do it because some of it's quite difficult. It's difficult to write down everything that's ever affected you in your life. Are you really going to take the 10 hours or so that it takes to do that? That's up to you. In Inner Awakening, it's mandatory. Right now, it's freely available for you to do it on YouTube. Up to you to do it. It's your decision, right? But again, I'd really do recommend at least trying it for yourself, because from my experience, it was like Control Alt Delete. All the pain patterns are gone. Like I used to carry so much what people thought about me. Look at how white I am. Okay, I was so I worried so much about my skin color when I was in high school, when I was in college, and when I was even playing pro. I carried so much. I have white eyebrows. I have white hair. I would never even talk about this. I would apply self tanner all the time. I cared so much what other people thought of me. And now look at me. Clearly, I don't care what anybody thinks I look like. Um, Clearly, I look different than everybody else in the Western world, basically. And I've embraced it. I enjoy it. And people give hate. People yell, or not yell, but people like, there's some disgusting people out there that leave disgusting comments. It's like, whatever. I'm so beyond it, and I can say from my experience, just do it, just try it, just try yourself, and you'll start to get the benefits, and you'll know what I'm talking about. We can look at one another and be like, I see you, I get you, you're me, I'm you, I understand. And so anybody that comes up to you and abuses you in any way, or any pattern that tries to show itself again, it's just get out of here. You feel so empowered, and you feel so aligned to who you are deep down. It's amazing. So, Carly, thank you for asking that. I hope this helped. Tiana, how to incorporate malic acid in weight training? I was just planning to put some on my tongue and swallow it once a day. I don't currently blend drinks. I just drink tea and water. Um, so you can put malic acid in a shake if you like. I actually take a vitamin powder mix because I don't like taking all these pills. I take a vitamin powder mix. It doesn't taste good, but I just chug it back. Harataki tastes awful, but I just chug it back. A lot of people don't like neem. I just chug it back. Honestly, being a yogi is about just going beyond senses. Like the sense of pain, the sense of taste is the same thing. Um, I really, really would just consider just taking it as is and tune in. Like when you drink the tea, or when you drink whatever, if it doesn't taste good to you, tune in and infuse your awareness into it. Infuse your awareness into the flavors that you're feeling, the sensation, and don't judge it. Just be in that space of oneness with it and notice what you're tasting. It's empowering. It's a yogic practice in itself. It's an opportunity to liberate yourself from the sense of taste. And so to incorporate it, I would say just start taking it. And Depending on the package that you get, it might say a different type of, it might recommend a certain amount. So I won't give any amount. I would just look at the package, and um, maybe you can message me as well and let me know what specific recommendations it's giving you. Um, but it is one of those things. Just throw it back. I don't know if that's the real answer that you're looking for, Tiana, but I hope that helps. Again, you can message me if you have some more questions on that. And just on that note too, like, you got, anybody can message me on Instagram. That's the best place to get a direct connection with me. Um, I've been giving out my email, but honestly, social media, I spend more time in Instagram than I do my official email. So unless you're kind of interested in a more serious long form communication, I would recommend going through Instagram. But I hope that helps. Go Cool is saying, I live in Dublin. Do you have a Nithyananda group or sung in Dublin? I would be happy to explore. That's a good question. I want to say probably not, but maybe. I'm sure there's people that are seeking in Dublin and that have awakened over there. Um, but you would have to seek them out, and you'd have to maybe go online and or create a video, ask and looking for people. But you have to be proactive in that. That's the thing I know. And even for Tajveer, when you're going through a spiritual awakening, excuse me, especially in a community that it's like, it's the like Hinduism or meditation, even in the hockey dressing room, was so beyond comprehension when I was awakening. It can be very tough and very difficult when you're on that journey alone. And so I really do encourage everybody to seek out others that understand them, that are on the same path, and that are aligned to you as well. Don't get pulled into a different direction. I'm not saying, go practice meditation with people that do ayahuasca ceremonies. That, as I said, like, I'm not a proponent of that myself. And if you're following me, I would encourage you not to do that. Um, but I would encourage you to seek out other beings that are interested in the same things that you are. So if you're learning about the Bhagavad Gita or um, yogic scriptures in some way, seeking out those types of people as well. And really, the best way to do that is to share what you're already doing and let others come to you. And that's what will happen. That's what I noticed happen with me. And it was just, life got so much easier the more that I was looking for other people, and had this intention of attracting other people into my life that I could relate with. And ultimately, I ended up with the Nithyananda Sangha, which was, the biggest blessing. TC Films, what would you say to uh, what would you have to say about managing school with spirituality, like learning about the Hindu gods and then doing homework? How would you balance or manage that? I would play with it. Um, I would play with the experiences that you're wanting. So when I was going through my spiritual journey, I was testing everything. Like, oh, everything's energy and I can like somehow attract it to me, like, and everything, like, if I'm grateful for it, like, then I'll just have things to be more grateful for. Like, I was implementing everything that I was learning, and as I progressed in my spiritual journey, like, some things like ended up being true at one point, but then I discovered a higher truth. And so I was enjoying the process of learning something and then implementing it right away. So if you learn about a certain god or goddess and how they connect with you and it kind of resonates with you, then play with it, and try and connect to them and enjoy that process of playing with them, because that's what they want. They want you to engage with them. And yes, like, if you're wanting help with school, if you're wanting to improve your work or career or something, you can always do that. And I really do recommend just connecting to the deities even more and more. That's something that I'm doing. That was actually a long, I mean, I've been practicing Hinduism for, not practicing, but living as a Hindu for a long time now, for 4 or 5 years or so, 5 years almost. And I've never have really dove deep into connecting with deities, because for me it was always guru. Like I came across Swamiji, I'm like, oh my God, like he is the embodiment of God. Like I knew it right away. He awakened my Kundalini, he awakened my third eye. He just showers me with blissful experiences. I wasn't really like interested in anything else. I was just like so infatuated with the things that he was able to do and the things he was teaching me. He was like the perfect mentor, the perfect guide. It was just so incredible. And I can't stress enough though that if you are already at a point where your deities are interesting to you and you're wanting to um, connect with Hindu gods and goddesses and whatnot, then I just do it. Jump fully in. If you're like struggling with homework, be like, connect to whatever god you feel most connected to. Um, maybe it's Ganesha. Maybe you're feeling like you have some obstacles with the learning certain material. Ganesha, please help me. I feel like I can't learn this for whatever reason. I have this mental block. Remove that obstacle. It doesn't necessarily need to be a physical object that he's going to move for you, but mental cognitions as well. So I just really highly recommend continue seeking out both your spirituality and your schoolwork, obviously. But as you learn more and more about Hinduism, then start implementing it and exploring it in your day to day reality. So I hope that helps, TC Films. Solid. Do you guys still do Vakir Tasada? So you said something about Facebook. I couldn't find it. Nithyananda. Yes, so we did I think it was 7 or 8 sessions of Vakir Tasadas, and they were awesome. Um, so we were going live, streaming those with myself and a few other disciples, and they were really enjoy. We really enjoyed it, and but Swamiji said to transition and do Vakir Tasadas as a whole community, basically. So not just, and that's one thing we wished we were looking to see if we could do a Zoom session with like up to 100 people and explore it that way. But there really wasn't enough engagement. There wasn't a ton of people that could always do it. We were going every night, and it was like our priority. We loved it. We got a ton of benefit from it, and but we still do. And so we're just doing it on Swamiji's Facebook now. So if you go to his Facebook, you can actually see the satsang, the transcript, which helps a lot. Obviously, he says a lot during his satsangs, his discourses, and to remember those and then do your Vakya Tasadas, it's more challenging, I could say. So if you would like to uh, have some notes and kind of contemplate on some things, it's definitely easier to see the transcript and then write your comment and involve yourself with an entire community online and not in the manner that we had it. And so we may bring it back, but that's what we've switched to now. Is we're doing it with the entire community, not through video. So I hope that helped, Solid. Erie, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying these sessions as well. Sportsmen can benefit by exploring Prana Shakti. Totally agree, Atul. That's really what I'm doing right now with my yogic journey or my liquid diet journey as well. Tiana, yes, my family thinks it's devil worship. I feel for him. Yes, you know your truth. You know your truth. You know who you are. You know what you've experienced. Nobody can ever take away from me what I've experienced. And I mean, I'll leave it there. TC Films, you also mentioned that. Sorry, guys, I'm just going down the list today. You also mentioned that I'm blessed. What did you mean about that? Also, how can I find out why I'm a Shiva devotee? How do I know or why I'm doing this? Okay, so what I mean by blessed is like the cosmos is taking care of you. And what I mean by the cosmos is taking care of you is life is supporting you. You know, whether it's a relationship, whether it's your career, whether it's your spiritual practice, like life is supporting you. That's what I mean when you're blessed. And the more you start to meditate on that and see that, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if I've said that to you, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it happen and manifest in your life. How can I find I'm a Shiva devotee, or why I'm a Shiva devotee? I never chose to be a Shiva devotee. It was introduced to me, and and then when it was in front of me, then I was like, yes, this feels right. It just connected with me. I wasn't seeking out Hinduism. I was learning as much as I could. I learned about Buddhism. I learned about Christianity. I learned about Hinduism, but I wasn't seeking it out. And then when everything was laid in front of me, I was just like, this is calling me. Like, this is connecting with me. This makes sense. No, we don't just die and go to heaven or hell. That did not connect with me. Yes, everything is oneness, and and thus we should be living in a space of ahimsa, non-violence, and we should be enriching life always. Um, and the more I was learning about things, it was just like my field, or I would just resonate more and more with Swamiji, and with being a Shaivite. And um, there's obviously a lot of different sects and practices in Hinduism, but for me, the connection to Guru, the connection to Shiva was just, I just I knew it was me. I knew it was right. And so just continue seeking it. You're not going to necessarily know why you're seeking a certain path or not. You're not going to know why you enjoy meditation, but your being just enjoys it. Connect with that and enjoy it. Um, some things you will know why. Some things you will resonate with you, and so just continue the path that you feel called to go on. I don't tell anybody like do this, do that, do this. Um, I mean, sometimes I will, depending on who I'm speaking with, I guess, and if I already know what pattern they're operating from. But if you're seeking, continue the path that you're on. I know that you're blessed, and if you're a Shiva devotee and you're feeling called to Shiva, like just continue connecting with him, and he'll continue to guide you. And if you really have those deep why questions, he'll answer those as well. So we're almost at a minute or an hour and eight. Let's see if I can rifle through a few more questions here. Um, Zeman, going to do 1008 days near Ahara? Now he's got this symbol. It's possible. It's possible. And as of right now, I'm thinking I don't want to go back to eat, so we'll see. Um, oh, it skipped. Do I believe the power of surrender? Absolutely. Surrender is Surrender is a beautiful thing. I would say surrendering to your being part of Mashiva is the most powerful. You are the divine. You are God. God is within you. You can the same power that created the universe is within you. I would say surrender to that, and surrender. Swamiji was just talking about this recently as well. Knowing that everything is working out for you is a power. Like not getting so caught up in your day-to-day life and thinking that life is working against you. Surrender to the belief and surrender to the cognition that life is always auspicious. Life is working for you, that you are Paramashiva. And it's really ego surrendering to that truth. And the more and more you drop the ego and surrender to that truth, the more it's going to flower and express within you. Like the more blissful you'll be, the more joyful you'll be, the more love you'll have in your life, and it'll be, you'll be showered continuously. And so I do believe in surrender in that way, in a way that makes you more powerful, that develops powerful cognitions within you. Nick, Nick Nick's opinion. I like that. Nick's opinion. Sir, I want to meet you personally. Is it possible? It's possible, yes. I don't know where you live though. I'm currently in Los Angeles. I do plan on going to India again soon. We'll see when that is. It looked like you were maybe from India, but I'm not sure. So maybe send me a message in Instagram and let's hear where you're from. I don't. Oh, I see. I live in Ayodhya. Ayodhya. I don't know where Ayodhya is. Send me a message on Instagram. Have you ever had an OB? Sean's asking, you ever had an out of body experience? Had one and it freaked me out. I've had an out of body experience. It was an like consciousness going outside of my body, and for me, it didn't freak me out. It was like, oh, like it was like I was in a space of non-judgment, and I was just very open, and it was an incredible experience. It's like having, like, for instance, somebody taking mushrooms. We were talking about ayahuasca earlier. Somebody taking mushrooms, and if they were in a bad environment or something, I've never taken mushrooms, but I hear that if you're in a bad environment or a negative environment, it's going to give you a bad trip. But if you're in a real positive, happy, and supportive environment, then it could be like one of the most blissful things ever, I guess. Um, the state that you're in, cognitions that you carry when you have an out of body experience are very, very important. If you are already in the context of I am the divine. I am Padma My consciousness is everywhere and everything, and that space itself is eternally blissful. Then it's like an exciting experience that you're going to want to have, and therefore the tendency to freak out or be scared won't happen as easily. It might happen. I can't say it will or won't, but it might not happen for you because you're already in that context of I want this. And this is like death. I was thinking about this the other day. We all fear death, but it's one of the great mysteries or one of the greatest experiences of life is death. And so rather than fearing death and not wanting it to happen, if you seek it and look into it and want to know what it is, that itself is a opportunity for you to achieve liberation. Swamiji was just mentioning this yesterday too. Like it, seeking death, in my opinion, not like, again, don't take this out of context, not not seeking death in the way of I'm going to commit suicide, but when you know it's your time, or um, yeah, when you're on your deathbed and you've lived a long, happy life, and you know it's time for you to pass on, seek it, look into it, discover it. It's one of those parts of life that you only get to experience once. And how do you know it should be something to be feared? As a Hindu, it shouldn't be. It's like, I'm going to take off my shirt now and put on a different shirt. It's the same thing. Your consciousness is going to move beyond this body now, and then we're going to take another body. And if you have that context, it's an opportunity for you to achieve liberation. And so I think an out of body experience is a beautiful way for you to maybe dabble in that in a sense, or prepare yourself, and also get a glimpse into this other dimension of who you really are. So whether it freaks you out or not, this out of body experience, learn to want to seek it again, because that's your true self. I mean, we're so comfortable in this comfort zone that is our human body, but ultimately we're something greater than that. We are something beyond this human body, and so that shouldn't be feared. It should be something that we want to explore. Um, Sean, I was walking around. Okay, Sean, this is the last. I'll take this as the last question, and then, or this is more of a statement, I think, but and then we'll end this session. Okay. So Sean was following up again. I was walking around my mother's house out of body and walked into the room where my mother and her boyfriend were watching TV. Of course, they did not see me. When I felt something was not right, I got pulled back into my body by a silver cord. I guess it's called. Ah, yes. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool experience. I would share that, and the more that you share it, I would encourage you to do like a video on it. Share it because any pain that you have within you, it's going to relieve itself. It's going to remove out of your body any negative connotations to this out of body experience. And um, so, and if you're saying it freaked you out, then there's definitely some fear in there. And so I would definitely talk about it and get that out of your system because that was a blessed experience to have. What an incredible thing to experience where you could literally walk around and go into other house or other rooms in the house. Very cool to hear. And so, but if there does have, it does sound like there's a pain pattern there. So I would highly recommend getting rid of that in order, if you want to ever experience it again, for sure, remove it. And you know, on your deathbed, if you have not obtained liberation yet, that could affect you. So I would really recommend even practicing Samskara Dahana Kriya with that. So with that, we'll end the session there. Hour and 16 minutes, so a little bit longer than normal, but I'm glad I was able to get through all the questions today. So I appreciate anybody that did show up. Thank you so much for being here. And again, as always, I'll be here on Saturdays, 10 a.m. You can catch me next Saturday. Feel free to leave a message then. And please let me know in the comments sections as well if you enjoyed this. Let me know what types of videos that you want. I'm trying to like engage with you all as much as possible and learn a little bit more about my audience and what you guys want to hear from me. I'm here to enrich you, and I really am here to serve you only. And these Q&As are, I feel like they're the best way because everybody can just ask a question. I know exactly what you expect of me and what you want from me. So, and yeah, if you enjoyed the song at the beginning, that was by Satsang, I Am. No, there's no affiliate code for them at all or anything. Just enjoyed that song and their music. And yeah, looking forward to sharing some more content with you all in the future. And as always, be blissful. And I'll close with the Puna mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Bhagavat Sri Nithyananda Paramashiva Paduka Paramastu. Om Nithyanandam. Nithyanandam, everybody, be blissful. Have a great weekend.